I'm a
See it. I watched the first one.
yeah, I'm concerned. I'm a little concerned
Okay.
how to get the vocals.
Okay.
Like the audio, pretty much.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Okay. What if did it come up when you didn't have the video on? Did you hear the vocals clear?
yeah,
When you
yeah. No,
okay.
the vocals sounds amazing.
Okay.
Um, I guess I would just have to look up. Hmm, for one, I would have to figure out how to. Now, I saw when I pressed save, it said it's saved, but I
Okay.
don't know where. Did it save it
So
to?
nah, I see what you mean. You don't know if it
Yeah,
went to your email. You don't know if it went to a place in the Skype where you can actually
right,
pull it back up. You don't know if it went to your podcast thing because you got a
right.
podcast app, right?
No, not yet.
Okay, got you. Okay.
um, what you mean, like a podcast?
Well, because I guess on iPhones they come with a podcast app on it where you hit it and you
Oh,
can
I know what
start your
you're talking about.
podcast. Okay, I'm not sure if
Well,
that's
I thought
similar to
that's
what
more
you
so
need.
to listen to. I don't
Okay,
know if
got you.
that's to
Okay,
record.
okay.
I know what you're talking about though.
Yeah, you're right because maybe you know more about it than me. I'm just now researching it when you mentioned it.
Yeah, yeah.
I heard them, but I'm just like, okay, well, it's podcast. I guess they got something new out.
Listen,
Okay,
I've been having an iPhone for the last couple of years, 4 years or so,
okay.
and I never touched that podcast button, and
I know.
I ain't touched that button till last year sometime, I think.
It was last year. Okay, you know what? I touched mine 2 days ago, and I had iPhone for over 10 years. I was like, dude, I didn't know we had this
You
because I
know
would
what?
see it, but I never paid
Mm-hmm.
no attention. I said, man, nobody need that. I'm thinking like, but then I hit it the other 2 days ago, and I was like, damn, I need to look at this so I
I
can be
know.
prepared for Latar just in case it was something I need to do on my end.
Yeah. And so like, I'm in the whole world of podcasts and I'm learning.
Yeah.
So like that's the podcast app too. It's several of them. But
Okay.
that's iTunes
Okay.
podcast.
Okay.
And so that's where you just go to listen.
Yeah.
But it's actually hosts, just like if you have a website
Yeah.
and you need a website host, but they
Okay.
got actual websites that actually host your podcast.
Yeah.
For you to upload and
That's dope. I like that. That's dope.
yeah, so it's a
That's
lot.
dope.
So I'm just like, well, I dropped my phone. I guess the best thing to do is just learn as you go.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's how you do it. I mean, that's what I've been doing. I'm thinking like there wasn't no manual for me. I'm just like researching, talking to people, and like you said, you just learn as you go. But that's always the best way
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah. So I'm like, you know what? So I guess my question for you: do you want to do the interview right now, or do you want
Yeah, we
to?
can. We
Okay,
can do it just for a startup, and then like you said, if you find out more stuff, we can reschedule and do a whole. We can do a whole nother one. As long as you
okay,
got something, yeah, so you have something to fall back on where you can be like, oh crap, one, I realized what I didn't do or what we need to do.
okay. Long as
Yeah,
you
so
cool with that,
oh yeah, I'm
don't
cool.
like Latara. Don't let this.
No, now I'm about to say Latara. Now I know you because you know I'm a perfectionist, so I know that you won't post nothing until you got it set in stone. I trust you. I trust you, but we
Pretty
gotta have
much.
something. Yeah, we gotta have something so
Yeah,
we can
and
try it.
and I was just like, you know what? At the most, let's get this done.
Yes.
I think I wanted to keep it definitely like because I've never really heard your story. Like at the most, I've
Oh,
just
that's
seen it
right. You have it.
on. Yeah, so I don't want to miss my ooh ah.
Look at it.
So that's another concern of mine. I was like, I don't want to
That's
because
true.
I'm a pull from you. Like that's
Yes.
just
Yes.
it's one of my gifts.
Yes.
Just to kind of do some digging and
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
I mean, I want it to be a very powerful podcast, and I know it's going to be.
Yes. Same here. I agree with you.
So,
That's same with me. Like I
yeah,
said,
so
I was like my dad had told me last week. He was like, "Why don't you start at the foundation?" He said, "You got to tell your story." He said, "Nobody can tell it better than you, so just tell the story."
absolutely,
So no,
yeah,
I agree
and
with you on that.
yeah, when you email me, ask me a question, I was like, why? It's just you. It's all about
Okay,
you.
got you. I know, cause I'm thinking like some people say, "Oh, well, here goes your Lord," but I'm like you. I like to just go off the top of my. I like you just ask me the question and then I'm
Yeah,
gonna answer it. That's just
yeah, because
me.
I
Cause
want
it's
it to be very natural,
yeah. There
very
you go. When you
yeah,
prep, it's just like okay, I already know what I'm about to say when you ask the question, so it's just kind of like I'm anticipating that question.
right,
Yeah.
right.
And I see why people
So
do it so they know what they're gonna say because it's
right,
a time limit. But I like you said, I like to this natural, this flow, have a
yeah.
conversation. Like I
When
was just talking to you.
say if this was like national TV, then yeah. I would
Yes.
definitely have my questions
Yeah.
because it's a time limit. You said the magic
Yes.
word, time limit.
Yes.
Podcast? No, we could be
Yeah.
on here
For 2-3
30
hours,
minutes.
man, sit up here chit chat like what it do, like
Exactly, and that's the thing I love about podcasts is
Yeah.
like you're sitting in on a conversation between two people.
Yes,
You know,
I
I
like
mean,
that.
and sometimes you're just listening to someone
Yeah.
talking. You know, but the best
Yes.
ones for me, I love to is communicating. Like
Yeah.
you know, you're part of that. Like, ooh, y'all talking about that? Oh, that's a good
Yeah.
conversation. I like
Yeah.
that.
You see, that's you know me. I like to talk, so I got to make sure I keep it to a minimum.
Listen, me and you both. So we are recording.
Okay.
I mean, this would be our take one per
Yes.
se, and
Okay.
if it's good, listen, we gonna post this. You like?
But you gonna listen. This behind the scenes, you gonna see. But you know what, Latara? Sometimes behind the scenes and raw cut is usually the best ones because people can see, like you said, the authenticity of it.
Yeah.
So they can look at it and be like, well, you know what? That's real. Like they didn't even do a take 3, take 4. They just did the first take and said, let's post it. That's me.
Be like, here it is. It's supposed to be a podcast, but it's a webinar.
Latara cannot be. I feel you though. But like you said, hey, this is the first time for both of us. So like I said, it's fun that we actually get ready to try it to see.
I know, and I'm so honored that it is with you. Because it's like we're giving each other grace, you know.
Yeah, we are.
You know, I'm into this. You into this. Help me out, brother out.
See, thank you. That's what I'm saying. Like we both are having our businesses take off the ground right now, so we're hungry right now. So of course it is. So I thank you for actually thinking of me to say, hey, Juan, I would like for you to be a guest on your podcast show. Yeah, because you could have easily just said, oh, well, forget you. Man, I knew you in college, but that's about it.
I could have went to someone more prominent, but then if I would have did that, I wouldn't have had this. I would have been shaking to my boots. I would have been freaking probably scared and
So thank you.
So I probably would reschedule. I would have been like, nah. That person wouldn't have never known that I had some hiccups and wasn't gonna tell them. No.
Tell them if they ask about hiccups on this, we gonna say we planned those hiccups, y'all. Like,
it was planned. Yeah, pretty much. So okay, let's get into it. Let's just do a run and we're gonna let God have his way.
Yeah, man, you already know I said prayers for both of us, so he's already in it.
Yeah, this is what I love. Okay, I'm super excited. So, guys, welcome to Courage to Face the Impossible. Well, Courage to Face Impossible. You know what? Let's talk about that just for a second. A lot of people, when I first shared my idea, Courage to Face Impossible, they was like, don't you mean the impossible? No, I said what I said. Courage to Face Impossible.
Yes.
And I actually did write it down as Courage to Face the Impossible and Courage to Face Impossible. And Courage to Face Impossible stood out more to me because, and I think from a creative standpoint, was that impossible is actually a person, place, or thing.
Yes, correct.
And so the impossible can be going to that new career, moving to that new location, going after that love interest. You know, impossible is a person, place, or thing. So impossible is a name. It has a name.
Yes,
and so today we're dealing with life. Today we're talking impossible is how to live.
Thank you. Because it ain't easy.
Hey!
Ooh, it ain't easy.
Living ain't easy. And so it's amazing how God brought you to mind. Even this whole idea, like courage to live, and it was like, Juan. It was like he shared the story, and not saying that I don't know other people who have experienced this.
Yes,
I don't know. It God highlighted you to me, and it's not by mistake. Clearly,
it's not. I was just about to. It's not because it came at the right time. Because you gotta look at it like I just launched this foundation this year. So if it had been last year, I was still in the, beginning stages as far as getting paperwork signed, doing the payment fees and all that. So I could have done it, but I wouldn't have had nothing, like no logo, no business cards or anything. So it came at the right time. That's what I'm saying. This was not by mistake. Like, God knew what he was doing.
And you're doing something with it. Like, you just didn't overcome it. You're making money moves, in the words of Cardi B, okay?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? And let's change. You're making life moves because
I like that.
You're getting ready to. Your misery is becoming your message, and your message is getting ready to become healing to so many others. And so, everybody, to the world, to people, to nations, I want to introduce you guys to Juan A. Young, and I want him to share with us his story. The topic again is Courage to Live, and I'm gonna let the man of God have it.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Okay. Well, Atara, once again, thank you for inviting me to be a guest on your show. It is an honor for me as well. So just hello everybody out there. So my name is Juan Anthony Young, and just to give you a little background about me, I was born and raised in Indianapolis, Indiana, and my childhood was good. Like I won't say that I had a bad childhood because I didn't. Started off with 2 biological parents in the beginning, and then around age 7, my parents decided to split. So it was a little tough for me right then and there. For the simple fact that I did have that relationship with my biological father. And when you that young and your parents split, you kind of wonder, like, okay, am I the cause of it? Like, what's going on? Like, your parents only tell you so much. They don't really go into detail because you're young. So we really didn't fully understand until I got close to the age of like 14, 15.
Okay. I'm just going to shift a little bit so I give them some more light. But just in case this ever video go like public,
Oh, yeah, so people know. They be like, well, Charlie, I can't see you.
Let me get a little light. Amen. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah. So my child was good. So, of course, it hit home when we had to live with just my mom and I have a twin brother as well. So she left and we was with me and my twin brother. And like I said, it was good. But I think that was the beginning stages of a lot of my heartaches, coming from that, which led, when I get to the story, which led later on to that. Of course, I was bullied all through school, especially during kindergarten up until I want to say 8th grade-ish. It was really heavy my 3rd grade to 4th grade. And that I really think is because my twin brother at the time, we went to the same school, but then he ended up going to a different school. And so we was in 2 different schools at that time.
Okay.
And I looked at it as like, I was the one that was always the schoolboy, as you can say. Like, I always had my books. I was always about the grades. I always was in the sports and the stuff like that. And so I wasn't your typical, as you can say, male, because most of the males at my school, they were into things as far as like, the gang banging and like the drugs. They really didn't want to come to school all the time. If they did, they would be like class clowns or act out. So I really felt like I was just like the target because I was the opposite. And of course, I don't like to always throw race in there, but you have to look at it as I did go to a predominantly Caucasian school. And so me being an African-American and me growing up being told by everyone around us that we would never be amount to be anything because society sees Black men as just, incarcerated, or they have all these baby mamas with all these kids that they don't take care of, or they don't have an education. So it was all those stripes that I already had on top of the fact that now we're in this stereotypical of the fact that now my mom was a single parent mother. And so I was, and it was tough. And I had a lot of anger towards my father at that point in time because he didn't pay any child support. He would call us and say that he would show up, but he would never show up. And so I really had to watch my mother struggle. And at 7, she had to put the responsibility on my brother or I, who was more responsible. And at that time, she felt like I was more responsible to take on adult roles. Like I remember going to the grocery store when she would be at work, getting groceries for the house. So I remember her giving me money to go get a money order to pay the rent. And when you think of it now, it's just like, what 7-year-old, with that amount of money that's going to go get a money order, to go to the office to pay rent, you think of that. So it's almost like some of my childhood was robbed. And I finally did have that conversation with my mom later on, that some of my childhood was robbed, but I didn't blame her for it. And so then we segue into high school. And high school was good. Like high school, it seemed like once I got to high school, the bullying kind of calmed down. And I'm thinking because my twin brother, we ended up going back to the same school when we got to high school. So I think so. It was my partner in crime,
Right.
And like us, we don't look for trouble. Like, me and my brother was never into the trouble. We never started fights. If we got into anything that was like an altercation or something, that it was really us defending ourselves. Like, we just didn't go start trouble because that's just not how we work. So then, I got in some relationships, and a couple of my girlfriends that I was with, they didn't work out. So then I had to deal with that too. On top of the pressures of school, my mom, and I thank her for it. I really do. But I did have a conversation where they said that she put a lot of pressure on me, I felt like, because school was her top priority, which I get it. Education, I would tell everybody, you want to get your education. It's a must. It's a need, especially today in this day and age. But as far as that, and then I started working at 14 because I wanted to help my mom out, because I seen her struggle. She was working 2 jobs at one point in time.
Oh, wow.
And so I was like, if I work, then I can sit up and help my mom out to where she feels like she doesn't have as much stress and pressure on her. Gotcha. Okay, so we did that. Okay, so then we're going to segue into college, because this is where the suicide attempt happened, where it was at college. So I went to Indiana University, IU Go Hoosiers, which is ironic about that. That was not my first choice to go. I wanted to go to, me, Latar, I had a fit the whole time when I was talking to my mom and pops about me going to IU. The only thing, because I wanted to go to Bethune-Cookman in Florida, which was in that's somewhere. Yes, it was. I wanted to go there because I'm thinking like, I want to go to an HBCU college, because I'm thinking like throughout my whole entire school from K through 12, it was always mixed, which, don't get me wrong, I love the diversity. I love being around different ethnicities because you can learn from them. But I still wanted to learn more about my culture. I still wanted to just be around the HBCU because they're going to tell it to you straight. They're going to give you those facts. They're going to give you that information like it's supposed to be. It's not going to be manipulated and tell you what you want to hear. They're going to tell you the truth. So I ended up going to IU because they offered me more money, which is a blessing too. So my mom was like, "Look, my boy, college is high. This is what we gonna do." And I said, "All right, Mom, I'm not gonna say nothing." So I got to school, and this is where I always say, with people who goes to college, I always love it, because you really learn a lot about yourself in college, because you meet so many people from all over the world. Absolutely. And I must say, I met a lot of people in college. I did. I met a lot of people, and it was a really great
so many different personalities.
It was. You just said it right. The personalities. That's where it comes to. Because you're dealing with so many people. Everybody is raised differently. Everybody has a different ethnicity. Everybody has a different religious background. So it's not the same. So I'm going off of how I was raised and the things that, my mom taught me. And then having conversations with other people was just like, okay, it's a little different. But I didn't judge. I'm like, you know what? That's what makes you unique, because you're different. So leading up into that, April 17th of 2010 was the day that I was going to commit suicide. And it's funny because it's been 9 years, but I still remember it as if it was yesterday. And what led to it was a lot. Like, I just went through a really bad breakup, and the pressures of school, and assignments due, and reports, stuff like that. The pressures from my parents about, okay, Juan, you got to do this. You're the first one to go to college, so you got to get these grades. And my grades was always up, but I think in 2010, because I went through so much, they were slipping some. Because my mind just really wasn't in there. Like, I really wasn't. Then I was betrayed by one of my best friends that I had for 18 years, and that was like the icing on the cake. That's what it was, because when you have that best friend, like, we were best friends since 2nd grade. Like, if you have a friend that's not your brother, but you consider them your brother, it's like that was this individual.
Yeah,
to
you
me.
closer than close. Yeah,
we're closer than close. I mean, everything we did. I'm everywhere. It was like they always said, wherever we see one, we seen the other. That's just how it was. Like it was always, it was like my twin. We was like triplets, you might as well say, because we were always together.
Okay.
And so that really hurt because I'm like, wow, I would have never guessed that this person would have been the one to betray me.
Wow.
And so I remember, I was leaving. It was like on a weekend. I think it was on a Saturday actually. And I think I was going in to speak to one of my professors because I had went to school for theater and telecommunications, and I had went to one of my voice and speech classes because we was working on a project that was due the following week. So once I left from talking to her, I remember going back to my apartment, and I had dropped my backpack down and stuff like that, and I was going to get in my car, and I was going to get on the 37. Is it 37 or 31? I think, 37.
It's 37.
Is it 36? Yeah, I was going to get on 37, and I was going to run straight into a semi because I wanted a quick, painless death. I didn't want to feel it. I didn't want to take pills. I didn't want anything. I just want to be a quick transaction, and I'd be, okay, I'm done. What is so, and this is why I say how God works. Like, I can't say he works in mysterious ways because he just works. Yeah. So, no, he do. Like, he because I know when I hear people say, God works in mysterious ways, I'm like, no, he doesn't. He just works. He just does what he says he's going to do. And he really did in this instant. No, seriously, because I feel like I'm about to shout right now and I'm about to get some tears because I'm reliving that day. And it was so funny. So, this woman who saved my life, who was my guardian angel, she was my previous manager at Don Pablo's that you and your brother came to, when I was actually serving for you guys.
Me and Juan, little mini insert. We got history, y'all. We got history.
We do, which is funny because I almost forgot about that until you brought it to my attention.
Yeah.
So, I remember we was texting. See, this is what's so ironic about it. We were texting because I just left the voice and speech class, and she was checking on me because she knew that I'm still new to college. She actually went to IU when she was around my age. So she knew everything about it. Yeah, things are different. But she was like, she knows the stresses that it comes with. So we were just texting. She was checking up on me. And I was like, yep, I'm doing good. You know me, I'm lying because you just can't see me. So I'm thinking like, yeah, I'm good. Class is going good. La, la, la. Knowing in the back of my mind, I'm thinking like, well, this is going to be the last time you actually speak to me because I'm going to go take my life. And so I remember I was in my bedroom and I was standing at the foot of my bed because I was going to walk out. And I remember, the text came through. She was like, well, all right. She was like, Juan, take care. I'll talk to you later on. She said, I love you. And I replied back. I said, hey, love you too. Talk to you later. Latar, I kid you not. 5 seconds later, a text came through from her and it just said, what's wrong? And I'm looking at the text like, what are you talking about? What's wrong? Like, it's almost like I'm thinking like, wait, are you in these walls? Are you like the fly that's up on the wall that knows what I'm getting ready to do? And so I was like, Latar, it's mind blowing. It really is. Yeah. And I remember I did reply back I stood there and looked at it for a minute because at this time I'm thinking like, but I don't want to reply back because I'm still about to go through with my suicide. But if I reply back, she's going to want to engage in a conversation. Yes, I can lie and be like, oh, yeah, I'm good and stuff like that. But I knew God had spoke to her at this point in time because I'm like, there's no way that you send me a text after we just closed out the text conversation by saying, hey, talk to you later. I love you. Take care. And you send me a text 5 seconds later that says, what's wrong? And so I probably stood there for a good 2 minutes. Then she replied back. And she was like, Juan, what's wrong? And I never replied back. So then she called. Ignore the call. She probably called, I know, well over 30-something times before I finally picked up the phone. And when I picked up the phone, she was like, Juan, what's wrong? And I just broke down. I did. I broke down. I lost it. And I had to tell her, I was like, well, I'm getting ready to take my life. And she was like, what's wrong? She was like, what happened? She said, talk to me. And she was actually getting ready to take an exam this day. And so she was like, well, I'm getting ready to go take this exam. But she was like, this exam can wait. This is more important. She was like, where are you at? And so I was telling her, I was like, look, I'm in an apartment. I'm going to get in the car. I'm going to get on the 37 and I'm about to run into a semi. And she was like, meet me at the Starbucks in Cowston. So Cowston is the Starbucks will always be our landmark in Cowston, which is located in Indianapolis, Indiana, because that's where she met me the day that I was going to take my life. And so what I love about her is the fact that when she knew how I was going to take my life, she never got off the phone. Like, because she knew that I easily still could have ran into a semi. So it would be like, I'll be on the freeway. Are you on the freeway now? Yep. I'm just got on the freeway. So I'm driving, still thinking about, like I said, wanting to run into the semi. And so She will hang up. She said, hold on, let me call right back in 1 minute. And so I hung up the phone. And, I'm thinking like, okay, I see a couple semis. And right when I was getting ready to run into the semi, she would call and be like, okay, I'm back. She was like, where you at? And so she had stayed on the phone the entire time until I got from Bloomington, Indiana, up until Indianapolis, Indiana, which is, the city, you can say town, which is Castleton, but to me, they're all the same. It's Indianapolis. And so we met up there. She gave me a big hug, and she just listened to me talk for 5 hours. She didn't say anything, like nothing. And to be honest with you, Tara, that's really all I needed at that time, because I was there for everyone that I came across, whether you was an associate, whether you was my best friend. And I felt like at the time that I needed people the most, nobody was there. I felt like they didn't take the time, like I would take the time to check on them or to see if something was really wrong. Like, you have those best friends, like, know when something's off with them. Even when you're not in their presence, know when something's off, because I know I will always check on them, like, hey, man, what's going on? You good? I haven't heard from you in a while. Is everything good? And I just felt like at that time, I didn't have that. So it made me feel alone. Like, it made me just feel like at this place that I was just like, wow, I don't have nobody. I'm like, why am I even here? Like, I was betrayed, like relationship failed. I've been bullied. I was told I would never amount to be anything. Like, why am I even here in this world? It's a better place. I might also just kill myself and just be at peace. That was my whole way of thinking. And so she did. She listened to me for 5 hours, and I told her the story from childhood all the way up until, I was 23 when I was going to take my life. I was 23. And it's crazy because in this incident, she had some familiar relative, but that's not even a word. She was familiar with
familiarity.
Exactly. I'm trying to make up some words, y'all. I'm going to keep it simple. She was familiar with suicide because her oldest son was going to take his life at one point in time. And so she kind of could picture to the signs, but like she told me after years later, she was like, nah, she was like, she said, I ain't never felt that feeling before. She was like, as soon as I ended the text message with you, she was like, I know it was nobody but God, because she was like, it was just like, you need to call, you need to check on him, say what's wrong. You need to say what's wrong. And she was like, I've never done that before. Like, I've never done that with ending a text message. And so I went through the whole story, and it just, and like, this is what I always tell people, there's always a reason why we want to take our lives. Like, if you really sit back and dig in deep, there's always a reason why. Mine really came from me allowing people to tell me that I wasn't going to be anything in life, or me allowing people to take the love away that I was giving them, or me allowing people to try to take away my joy, or allowing people to disrespect me. That's
so good.
I allowed these individuals to do all of this, but the bulk of it was my biological father. Like, I blamed him for so much stuff because I felt like I had to grow up early at 7 years old and take on things that a 7-year-old, I'm sorry, should not have to take on. Absolutely. And it just seems like my mother was, excuse my language, she was a damn good mother because she never took him for child support. She just said, you know what? I'm not about to force a grown man for one, to take care of his responsibilities. Now, the thing with my father is, and the thing which is why I held him more responsible, is because he has 2 older sons by a different woman. And he raised those 2 sons by himself because his first wife left him to raise them. So I'm looking at this like, how are you going to do to my mother what some woman did to you? Like, you knew how hard it was for you to raise your 2 boys at that age that you was. And so I'm like, but then you turn around and you do the same thing to my mom. So I was furious. Like, I really was. I was so furious. So it did. And so, once me and Nora had that conversation and we talked, I was still in the fog. Like, to be honest with Tara, it took me about 1.5 years to really come out of that fog of what I was in. Because if you ever been in a place in your life where you've been at darkness, and I mean to the point where you just want to take your life, you lost everything. Like, you lost the hope, you lost the love, you just don't care. Right. And rebuilding yourself, to me, was harder than going into the fact of me wanting to take my life. Because now it's just like, okay, day after day, yes, I have to do the work. I have to force myself to want to be here. Like, I have to force myself to be like, no, Juan, you're worth living. Like, don't listen to what these people have said. Like, you can do it. You're stronger than this. And so I'm just like, I'm looking at the whole situation like, okay, whatever. So I was really just in a fall. Now, my mom didn't know I was going to take my life. And she found out, ironically, this is why I say God just worked, because the day before my 1 year anniversary of my suicide attempt, I was in the kitchen because she was fixing something. I was talking, and I was like, "Oh yeah," I said, "My 1 year is coming up," and she looking at me like, "1 year?" She was like, "Wait a minute, we should talk about 1 year," because she started thinking of stuff. She was like, "Okay, well, it ain't your 1 year from high school," because she was like, "It's been more than 1 year." She was like, "It ain't your 1 year from your ex-girlfriend," because she said, "Y'all ain't even together." So she's like, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "Crap." I said, "I thought I was talking to Nora, because the lady's name is Nora. I thought I was talking to her." And I was like, I said, "Okay, Mom." I said, "Let me tell you." And this was really hard for me to have to tell my mom, because she did exactly what I thought she would do. So we was in the kitchen, and I just said, "Mama was going to take my life last year, and it'd be a year tomorrow." And she just, the look that she gave me, it was just, she stopped what she was doing. And it's almost like she stopped breathing for like a good 2 minutes before she responded. And she was just like, wow. Huh? Kind of like that, huh? Like it was something that shocked her that she wasn't expecting. And she's just like, "Wait, but why?" And then they got all these questions. And I was just like, "Well, Mom, it was just a lot and stuff like that." And I felt bad because when I had went back to school, because it was a year later, but I remember my mom calling me like after that, and I even remember my stepfather, who was my pops, because my mother ended up remarrying, and he came into our lives when we was 14, get ready to be 15. But I remember him telling me, he was like, "Your mother was tossing and turning for 3 nights straight. Like she couldn't sleep. She was crying, like she was blaming herself." And I knew that's what she would do. And I was trying to explain to her, I was like, "Mom, this has nothing to do with you. It's not your fault." She was like, "I'm a mother." She said, "I'm your mother. I'm supposed to know these signs. I was supposed to know what was going on." And I was like, "Well, Mom, you couldn't know," because I said I didn't share with anybody. Like I just smiled behind all the pain and hurt. Like that's just me. And she was just like, I noticed something, because she was like, "I noticed when you first started going to college, you would barely come home. Like you was always there. And then towards like, you're into your sophomore year, going into, you're like your junior year." She was like, "I noticed that you would come home a little bit more frequently," but she just figured it was because the stresses of, the schoolwork or the heavy load. And I just needed a break just to be in some peace and be around my family. She had no idea that it was because I was getting ready to take my life for what was going on. So that was a tough conversation to have with my mother, and actually to really fully explain to her everything that was going on, and trying to explain to her that it was not her fault. And I remember she asked one question afterwards. She was just like, "Well, was you gonna leave a suicide note?" And I was just like, "No, I wasn't." And I was stern with it. And she was like, "Why not?" And I said, "Because why would I leave a suicide note behind for people to know why I took my life, when the people that I cared for and the ones that claimed they cared for me didn't even take the time to figure out what was really going on with me at that particular time of my life?" No. And I know it sounds selfish, Latar, and I know it sounds mean, but I'm looking at it as like, no, y'all get ready to live the rest of your lives wondering why Juan took his life. Because that was just me. And it's not like I was doing it at a spitefulness. It was just the fact that I'm just like, well, why should I even, if they didn't care, I'm looking at it as, why should I even care anymore? Like, they clearly didn't show that they don't care, so why should I care and leave that? And my mom, she thought it was so odd, because, a lot of suicide victims, they do leave notes. And, they leave it behind and say why. And so after that, it was like that was a rebuilding. So I remember the day that I came out of my fall, because we was actually on our way to church one Sunday. And I remember we was driving, and I remember my mother was driving, and she looked over at me and she just said, "I want my son back." And it was the look in her face. I would never forget it. I can still see it today, because it was like she was hurt, because I'm telling you, it took me a year and a half to get out of that fall. Like I was on this earth, but I wasn't here, if that makes any sense, because I was just like going with the motions, and I was just like walking through, doing the day stuff, but I really wasn't here.
That's powerful.
Because I was still broken inside. And I just remember her saying like, "I want my son back." She was like, snap out of it. She was like, "I know it's hard," but she was like, "I can't lose you, and I need you to fight, and I need you to hang on." And I think it was that day, I remember sitting in church, and I was just like, "Okay, Juan, you got to get together. Like, you got to get it together, because my mother's my world. Like, that's my heart. I'll do anything for her." And so I'm thinking like, crap, you're putting this hurt and pain on her. So I'm thinking like, me being the type of person I am, like I put others before myself. And so I was like, okay, well, you got to snap out of it. So after that day was when I began to the process of healing officially of me coming out of that suicide attempt.
Yeah.
And so, it was hard. Like, that's why I always tell people, if you can make it, really, if you can make it a day after your suicide attempt, you needed the hardest part, because the very first day after your suicide attempt is still fresh in your mind. You're thinking of other ways how you want to execute your suicide. You're thinking of, you want to turn off all electronics because you don't want nobody to interrupt. So it's just, it's very hard. And so it's steps. Of course, like with anything, there's no life book that tells you how you got to get through life, whether how you deal with breakups, or how you deal with bullying, or how you deal with broken families and homes. Like, there's no rule book. And so it's just like with suicide, there's no manual left behind to tell you, okay, this is how you get out of your suicide attempt if you're still here to survive and make it. And so what I did was started just surrounding myself around those positive people, which I already had. Like, my 3 best friends, those are my rocks. Like, I love them more than they know, because they all helped in their own little way. And what I love about it the most is that, for one, even though they didn't understand my whole suicide attempt on why, really, because they're looking at it as like, oh my God, why? Like, you're always so happy, you're always laughing, you always like the class clown, like, you got all this stuff going for you. They was just like, you wanted to take your life, but we would never talk about it. They would deter my mind from, like, we would talk about other stuff. Like, I remember my friend Amanda, we would talk about stuff in high school that we used to do in our SR class, because she knew I couldn't stand my teacher at the time. And so we would be reminiscing about little stuff. And it was at that point, it was good because it took my mind off of the whole suicide attempt and things like that. And so I just surrounded myself around positive people. Continue to pray daily, like I already was praying and stuff like that. I got into, like, I started really just doing what Juan wanted to do, really, when you think about it, because after my suicide attempt, it was in 2010, 3 years later, I moved to Los Angeles, California, which has always been the city and state that I always wanted to live. And so I love the fact that I did that, because you know what? It was it was time. It was at the right time. I looked at it as like, everything in Indiana, yes, there's some hurtful things there. Yes, it's some very cheerful and grateful things, because my family is still there. But I just needed a break, because it was almost my way of telling my family, I'm tired of being there and doing everything for all of y'all. Like, that's kind of like how it was. Like, everybody would always ask, why can you do this? Why can you do that? Oh, why you might help us with that? And me, I'm like, I didn't mind, because that's my family. Those are my loved ones. I'm going to do it. But at some point in time, I'm thinking, like, but I have to live my life. Like, I can't live my life for what you guys want me to do, or how you guys think I should live my life. I got to live for Juan. So me moving out to Los Angeles, California was the best decision I could have ever made, because it allowed me to be away from my family, but it allowed me to be able to find Juan, and allowed me to be able to regroup, and allowed me to be able to build myself back up to where I am now, where I'm able to talk about my suicide attempt and share my story with the world, and actually have put this foundation together to help others like me, to let them know, like, I know that what you're going through right now seems tough, and you seem like you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. But I'm telling you, if you just hang on, I assure you, if you keep hope alive, your later will be greater. Like, I am a living witness, and I can testify to that all day long. I really will. It is. Now, it's hard, because, like I said, all my family's back in Indiana, and I'm the only one out here. And it's some things that happened in LA that could have triggered me to, want to go back to that suicide attempt. One is most recently in LA was back in 2017, where I was homeless, and I was sleeping out of the backseat of my car for 3 months. And it's not that it was anything that I did as far as careless. It was me helping out some roommates at the time that needed to stay a little bit longer, because I actually could have left earlier and would have had my stuff situated. And then by the time we get to move, I was actually scammed out of some money, because I went on Roomsters.com. Wow. Yeah, I went on Roomsters.com to, rent a room, because, see, at this time I was saving, because I moved out to LA for my acting career. That's why I moved out here. I had an agent, and then finding a manager. So, I moved out here for that. Yeah, so I was.
Come on, why?
That's what I went to college for. Yeah, I know. So I said, well, I mean, why you went to college, you spent all this money. Utilize what you know. Okay. And so I remember, I was scammed out of some money, and oh Jesus, I mean, I was scammed out almost around $4,200, but it was on 2 different occasions, because with Roomsters.com, you think it's a secure website, and it looks legit. Like, this is my first time even doing something like this, because usually I just have my apartment.
Again?
It's called Roomsters.com. I would highly encourage everyone, do not use Roomsters.com, because I don't think that they really go through a whole application process for the people who is trying to rent out their homes. Now, yes, it's secure when it comes to bank account information and stuff like that. You know, I had put money into these individuals' accounts, you know, my first month's rent, and then, you know, the move-in fees and all that, with hopes of, okay, we're going to meet up and, you know, you're going to give me the keys and stuff like that. It didn't happen like that. And I know I take a little, and I take some of the responsibility, because, like I said, since it was new to me, I do look at it now where I'm like, okay, wait a minute, you want this? I can see me give you a down payment, but if I had to redo it, I would be like, you need to send me a key first, or we need to meet up at this place before you get any funds from me. You know, that's what I would have done there. Yeah. And so, we live and we learn. Yeah, we do. And that's what I said, I look at it as a learning experience, and it taught me a lot. It really did, because, like I said, just homeless, like, oh, Jesus Christ, sleeping in the backseat of my car, taking showers in the 24-hour gym fitness that I was a member at. So it was a lot, but I'm proud of myself because of the way I handled the situation. Like, it was a couple friends out here that I had that, once again, I go back in there, you thinking like, okay, you see I'm at this rough stage of my life, you think you need help. One couldn't, for the simple fact that they had other obligations that was living in that home as well, like it was their parents living and stuff like that. Okay. In which I see 50-50, because me, on the other hand, I'm thinking like, okay, my best friend, I don't care if I got a house full of 7, you ain't gonna be outside on that street. Like, you're gonna be in here. Here goes a futon, here goes a blow up mattress. Like, you're gonna make sure that you have the shelter. But me being the person that always looks at two sides of the story, I'm thinking like, where I don't know what was really going on in the household and why they couldn't. So I just took it with a grain of salt. And then I said, well, maybe God wants me to go through this. Maybe he's trying to tell me something. Maybe he's trying to show me something. I don't know. But all I remember is that once I got out of that homeless situation, you know, after 3 months, I did realize that it made me stronger. And it just really made me realize that no matter how many people that you cross, or how many people that's in your life that says that they're really your friends and they have your back, in all honesty, they really don't. Some really has their own hidden agenda, and it basically comes to, they're only there for you when it benefits them. And that's really what it all comes down to. And it's sad to say that. So when you have those best friends, and I have, like I said, I have 5, including my twin brother, 3 of which I didn't have for over 15 plus years. Hold on to those friendships. Be there for those people. Give all your time and energy to those individuals. These friends that you start meeting and that they come in your life, like, you know, in your 20s and when you get to your 30s, fill them out a little bit before you actually consider them your friend. Because, like I said, a lot of people are not, they don't have your best interest at heart. They really don't. And so, you know, so
you got to test them out.
Yeah, you do. You got to test them out. And that's what I do. But see, I'm very particular on how I throw out that friend word. I'm always like, you're an associate until I put you in the friend category.
Would you tell the people?
Man, I'm just like, I can, you know, people's like, oh yeah, well, I know you. No, you don't know me. You just know of me. We're associates. Yeah. Now, my best friends, they know me. Like, if they need to tell my story, they can tell my story verbatim like me, because they've been in my life for this long. We've been there for each other. We all got stories for days to share with each other. We all have been through. So I will say that. So just, you know, just be mindful. But when it comes to rebuilding yourself after that, it really comes down to, you really have to build your self-love back up. And that's what I found out. I lost that self-love because I allowed people to take it from me. But then I blame myself too, because I allowed them to take that from me. And then once you got that self-love, keep that hope. Like, you really have to have hope, because whatever situation you're going through right now, I'm telling you, it's for a reason. You may not get the whole reason on why at this point in time, but I assure you, later on down the road, whether it's 2-3 years, maybe 9 years later, you'll know exactly why you went through what you went through. But you have to keep that hope. You have to, because that's when you lose hope, and which I did. That's why I was going to take my life. Like, you lose everything, because if you have that little hope to be like, oh, it's going to get better. Oh, you know, this is going to come next month. Or this is going to happen next week. It makes you have that energy to be, okay, you know, let me just hold on so I can find out. Let me just hold on so I can find out. But if you don't have that hope, you lost everything. You're just like, okay, well, whatever. And if you don't have love for yourself, you really done lost it. Because nobody's going to love you like you. Yeah, you'll get the love from your parents. Yeah, you get the love from, you know, your friends and stuff like that. Yeah, you get the love from your significant others, but it ain't no love like the love that you have from God. And it for sure is not any love that you're going to have for yourself, because you'll love yourself through everything. So you really have to do those things. Yeah, you do. You have to do those things. So that's kind of like how I had to rebuild myself, with
Mm-hmm.
starting with the self love again, and then um, just looking at life in a whole different perspective. Looking at people at
Mm-hmm.
face value now, not being so gullible or
Yeah.
so naive.
Mm-hmm.
Learning how to tell people no, because I'm always a yes man. I'm always saying,
Who?
yeah, I'll do that, I'll do that. And as soon as you tell them no, oh,
What?
well, we don't like you no more. Oh, you a problem.
What?
Oh,
Listen, Prophetess Beyonce said the first time I said no,
thank you.
it's like I never said yes.
Thank you. But no, because that's what it is. Because when they're used to you saying yes all the time, the moment you tell them no,
Yeah.
it's just like, oh, they look like, wait, you told me no? It's
Right.
like, well,
Who are you
I'm a,
talking to? Me?
thank you. It's always, it's like, I'm appalled. Like, you told me
Me?
no?
No?
So, yeah,
Yeah, you.
yeah.
Especially you.
So that is so that was
Yeah.
one of the hardest things too, because it's hard for me to tell people no, because I know how it feels to be in certain situations, and I never want anybody to go through what I had to go through in life. I don't even wish that on my worst enemy. Like, I honestly don't, because everybody's story is different. We all
Mm-hmm.
have a story, and that's always
Yeah.
said. My story is no greater than the next person's, but the reason why I put this foundation together and shared my story is because I kept seeing all these suicide victims popping up on social media. When you have
Mm.
6-year-olds and you have 9-year-olds and 14-year-olds taking their lives, and I'm looking at it as like I was their age. And I'm thinking like, and even
Mm.
at that age, I wasn't even thinking about taking my life. So I'm thinking like
No.
it's
It's
worse.
getting
And
worse, yeah.
it's getting worse. And the
Yeah.
fact that nobody has done anything about it. Now, yes, you have your few suicide prevention programs available. You got the one, which is the American Suicide Prevention, which is the number one
Mm-hmm.
right now in the world.
Right.
And then you have all your other little stuff. And then, of course, you got that hot 1-800 line. Sorry to
Mm-hmm.
say it, but that hot 1-800 line, it does not work to me, to be honest with you, because if it did,
Hmm.
you wouldn't have all these people still committing, suicide. It does
Wow.
work, but I feel like it's impersonal, because it's like you're on the phone talking. You don't
Mm-hmm.
know this person. And then
Yeah.
it's like, okay, you're trying to share your story on why you want to take your life. And I get it. That's what they are hired to do. But I'm like this. If I'm talking to a person that has never had suicidal thoughts or has not attempted to take their lives, there's nothing you can tell me, because you don't know what I'm going through. You don't know how I feel. You don't know my mindset right now. And I'm not trying to discredit the ones who went to school and they got their psychology degree and stuff like that, because I know that they have been taught to be able to learn different things and how people react, and with the brain and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sorry, that's just like me having a conversation with you about cancer, and I've never had cancer. Now, I've
Mm-hmm.
had some family members that has had cancer, but I never had it myself, so I can't
Okay.
explain to you personally how that feels. I can only tell you from the outside looking in, like, oh, this is how I felt watching my loved one go through this. But I can't tell you how I was experiencing it. And that's how I look at, when it comes to that Hot 1-800 line. So that's why I put this foundation together. And what differentiates the Juan Young Foundation from other ones is that I'm going to have facilities built throughout the world, and I'm going to have it where people can come in and they can talk to someone. And some of the people will be people who are like me, that has overcome their suicide attempts, and they understand exactly where they're coming from. I'm still trying to figure out if I'm going to have psychiatrists, if I'm going to have counselors there. I do believe that I need to have at least some psychiatrists there, because, some of these individuals, they may have a mental disorder. And I don't want to, tell anyone, or, turn anyone away from getting help. So if someone comes in and they're like saying like, hey, I do have a mental disorder, I at least want to be able to give them the proper things that they need to do it. Now,
Yeah.
I will say this too, because I realize why a lot of people don't talk about suicide. It's like taboo, or it's just like, it's something that you just keep under the rug. It's
Yeah.
because a lot of us feel like, as soon as we say we want to take our lives, or we have suicidal thoughts, they're going to say, oh, you got a mental disorder, or you're mentally ill. No, that's not the case. Okay, because I had
Mm-hmm.
doctor's papers before I was going to commit suicide, and I was perfectly fine. And then I went to the doctor after I was going to commit suicide, and I was perfectly fine. I knew why I wanted to take my life. I
Yeah.
knew what led up to that. So it was nothing that was mentally disordered about me. It was the fact
Yeah.
that I just gave up. I lost everything. I lost hope. Then I had the self
Yeah.
love, and that's why.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. Have those facilities built up throughout the world, so these individuals can come in and talk to somebody to get the help. Really, what I want people to know, like I said, if I can just save that one person, then I did my job. I
Mm.
know I'm going to save more with this story, because it's something that I think we all see people who has died from suicide, but you very seldom see individuals who actually overcame their suicide attempt and is still here living. And I think that's what we need to do right now, is in this next era that we're going to go into, in this next shift. I think we all need to start, like, if you wanted to commit suicide, don't be ashamed of it. That's one thing I would tell you. I would never be ashamed. Nobody on the face of this earth would ever make me feel ashamed for me wanting to take my life. Because at the end of the day, is until you walked a day in my shoes and know what I had to go through, your opinions and stuff is invalid. Like, okay, whatever. Yep, I was going to take my life. Oh, so what? Oh, well. Keep it moving. I'm still here. I'm still here, and that's how I want these other individuals like me to think and be like, you know what, it's okay. You hit a rough patch, like you was in a very dark place in your life, so it's okay to feel that you wanted to have those thoughts or that you want to take your life. Don't make anybody make you feel ashamed for it, because you're no less of a person than them. Like, we all go through a lot of stuff, and everybody handles every situation differently. Like, somebody else who's went through my same situation with their suicide attempt is completely different. They had their own reasons on why they wanted to do it, or how theirs turned out was completely different than mine. But I really feel like it's something that we really need to discuss. We really need to talk about. We really need to get in the front phase. And this is why I'm dedicated 110% to provide all these resources. I'm going to keep sharing my story until people's tired of me talking about it, until we finally bring down this suicide rate. But you also, and this is one thing I need to say to the parents out there. So to all the parents, if your child is coming home and they're telling you that they're being bullied, I need you to get off your behinds and take action. I need you to go up to that school. I need you to find out what classroom they're being bullied in. You need to find out these individuals who are bullying them. You guys need to get their parents up to the school. You guys all need to sit down and have a big old chat so you guys can get this figured out. Don't shun your child off, because how parents are, we look at kids when they're in that age of 5 to 12. Yeah, they're kids. They don't know anything. Oh, we went through that growing up. Oh, you're fine. Just be tough. No, you have to understand. It's a total different world right now, and everybody's mindset is different. Yeah, you may have went through the bullying and was strong enough to get through it. Thank God, I'm proud that you actually were strong enough to get through it. But there are other people out there that they're not strong enough to make it through that. They need that support system. And that support system really comes from their parents, because at the end of the day that's your responsibility. We as kids, we didn't ask to be here. So if they come to you and say these things, please take action. To the parents of the kids who are actually being the bullies, you guys need to really take a look at yourselves in the mirror. And I really need you guys to sit down and wonder what you are doing as far as reflecting on your kids to where they want to go to these schools and want to be, bullying all these other people and stuff like that. Really what I look at as a bully is someone who is hurt deep down inside. And their way of dealing with that or coping with it for them is to bully somebody else the way that they may have been bullied or something like that. And I think that's where it comes down to when you really think about it, because you realize a lot of us are taught a lot of things. Like, we're born, we don't know anything. We're taught these things by our parents. And that's why I made that comment to the parents of these kids who are being the bullies, that they need to really take a look at themselves and realize what are they doing that your kids are watching to where they are going back and doing this. And to the school, it is, they repeating it. And to the schools, with the teachers, faculty, and staff, I know that you did not get hired to sit up there and be mediator and stuff like that. But if you're in class and you're teaching a lesson and you see people being bullied, it is your job at that point in time to make sure that you de-escalate it and get them the proper help that they need. It's not for you to just turn around and go back on the chalkboard. I got to teach class, or send them down to the office. No, it's not. Like, you have to understand, at every job that we have, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a lawyer, whether you're a policeman or something like that, you got to take on stuff that is not particularly a part of your job title. And so for the teachers, that's a part of y'all's job title that is in invisible ink on your little resume or your little your little compensation package or whatever it is. Like, it's invisible ink that says you have to do other things that may not fall into what this says on here that you got to do.
Absolutely.
So
we're with that child for 8 hours.
Thank you. Thank you. They're willing more than the parents are, to be honest with you, because some of the kids, they go to after school programs. So they may only be with their parents throughout the week, Monday through Friday, maybe 5-6 hours out the evening, and that's it. And then they have them all weekend. So really the teachers are the ones that's around them more. And so I really feel like they need to just take more precautions on that. And they need to make sure that the counselors that they have at these schools are implementing.
If they got counselors.
They don't. And see, that's one thing I'm going to do too, as far as that. I'm going to make sure that there's counselors in all the schools throughout the world, and they're going to be affiliated with the Juan Young Foundation, because when students are coming in saying they're being bullied, I need you to talk to them. I need you to sit down and nip it right there and get down to the point and figure out what is going on with this individual. Don't just shun it off, because when you shun it off like that, that's when you keep seeing a 13-year-old, oh, they committed suicide from bullying. Oh, well, we have a 10-year-old. And
or they come in shooting up schools.
Thank you.
Either way.
I'm telling you. So it is. Everybody has to take their part in it. And at the end of the day is everybody, if they really sit down and think about it, everybody knows somebody who's committed suicide or who's wanted to take their lives. Like it may not have been a close relative, but it could have been a coworker. It could have been a friend of a friend. It could have been an ex-boyfriend, an ex-girlfriend that you had. So everybody is affected by it. And I really feel like people needs to take this on more. It's kind of like, it's like with anything else out there that we have. Like, when it comes down to, the police enforcement or them just shooting unarmed people, it's kind of like, okay, we need to take precautions like you're doing with that, but take it with suicide too, because right now it is the number 10 leading cause of death in the world. It is the number 6 leading cause of death for people ages, I want to say it's between 7 and 14, and then it's the third leading cause of death for kids ages 7 to 14, and it's the 6th leading cause of death for 14 to 24. So it's the one that's taking over. You would think that guns and all that, like, it's right neck and neck with it. Like, it really is. It's neck and neck with it. But that's
a real thing.
It's a real thing. And so I'm dedicated 110%. Like I said, all I can do is tell my story. It's not fabricated. This is what I went through. This is what I lived. I just want to be able to give those resources to other individuals like me to let them know, like, hey, just hang on, like, just hold on. Yeah. Like, I would have never known 9 years ago, if I had took my life, that I would have actually been living in the place that I always want to live, which is Los Angeles, California, let alone start a foundation. Yeah. This was never in my plans. Like, I'm thinking like, foundation. I'm like, nah, man, y'all might be an actor. This is what I've been going to school for since I was 7. Like, I'm not about to do this. So that's what I'm saying. Like, just be open-minded to, because your life is going to change. Like, we was, people who go to college, and they graduate, they're in a completely different field than what they got the degree in, to be honest with you. And so you got to, life is going to throw you some curveballs. Nothing in life is perfect. If we knew right now that we was going to get $1 million in our account tomorrow, don't you think we all going to blow every dime that we got in our account, because we know tomorrow we wake up, it's going to be $1 million. So you just have to literally just keep on to that hope, to know that any negative situation that you're going through, I promise you, there's always one positive out of it. And I really had to look at all the things that I went through in life, and I found one positive out of all of those negative things. And it was really to shape and mold me for what I am today. And I look at that as if I didn't go through those things, I wouldn't be as strong as I am right now, even to sit up here and start a foundation to actually be that voice for other suicide victims or other suicide attempts. And the ones that hurt the most is the ones of the families that are left behind. And they're the ones that has to deal with that. And my heart goes out to them. Like, it really does, because me and my mom talk about this all the time. And she's always like, I would have been that parent to be like, okay, my son is gone, but why is he gone? She was like, now I'm on the other side of, I'm that parent that my child had went through this, and I'm so glad that he made it through. But my heart goes out to those other, parents, because I know that the answer that I got, which is, why did you want to take your life? You told me. They'll never be able to get that answer from their kids or their loved ones who took their lives. And so they have to live the rest of their lives in that pain. And my heart goes out to them. And they're going to be, there's resources that I'm going to have available for them to be able to cope through and deal with that as they're going through the rest of their life, with the fact that they lost their loved one, because they're affected to it just as well. They're affected just as well.
Absolutely. Wow. You have said a mouthful.
I was going to say a mouthful. I said, look, I told you I like to talk, and I wasn't trying to keep it too long, but I at least want to tell the story so people knew, like, this is what happened. And I kind of had to, like, just go through segments, like, childhood, teenage years, then my young adult
the build up.
Yeah, the build up. Yeah, I had to do the build up so people know.
Yeah. I mean, as you're talking, I was thinking about, celebrities who have committed suicide and, the build up. Robin Williams was funny.
Oh my God.
Love him.
Oh my God.
When we found out that he committed suicide, he was just like, wait,
Robin?
the same thing people thought about you.
Yeah,
Like, wait, what?
Yes, they did. Yeah.
Right. Wait, Latara? No, I've never actually attempted it, but the thoughts of suicide, has come because you said it also, like when you in that negative moment, it's just a moment.
Yeah, it is.
And in that moment, you have the choice to live in it.
Yes.
Or be free out of it. Get free out of it. You know. I remember my moment when I just felt like I was going to a really dark place.
Yes.
And this was after I graduated. And just, a lot, it's usually a series of negative things like finances in shambles, lost your job,
tell me about
possessed,
I know.
Really, it's a lot of outside things that's affecting you, which is making you internalize it. And it's just a moment, though.
It is.
It's just material stuff. Yes. It's just people.
Thank you. You just said it. It's people. Like, you really have to get that. Yeah, you really have to let that resonate. That it's people. And people's going to talk about you whether you're dead and gone. I mean, you look about Michael Jackson. This man's been gone for a few years now. And
still talking about
Neverland story. Y'all still talking about this man. Let the man rest in peace. Like, leave him alone. They still doing stuff about Whitney Houston a few days ago. Somebody made a post about her, stuff like that. And I remember Bobby Brown had checked the individual, said, don't be talking about my, ex-wife like that. Yeah. Because you really shouldn't. It's just like, these people are dead and gone, but yet y'all still are talking about them.
Still.
And thank you. And when you realize that, I'll be like, you know what? As long as people's talking about me, that means I'm doing something right in life. So I'll start worrying now when people stop talking about me, because then I know I didn't miss the step and I got to get back on the grind. But it is like you said, they're people, they're individuals like you and I, and really, they're most of the people, when they reflect that negativity on you, they're hurting inside themselves, and they don't know how to deal with it, and some don't even want to deal with it or get the help, and that's what's wrong. Like they don't want to get the help that they really need, and it's okay to say, look, y'all, I need help with this, I need help with that. Like, we gotta stop walking and living this life as if we don't need help, or as if we're never gonna actually fall rock bottom. Because I'm sorry to say, yes you will, but the thing about it is when you hit rock bottom, reach out to those people that you know is going to have your best interests at heart to ask for help.
Absolutely.
Don't just think that you can do it all by yourself. And that was me. And I'm guilty. I have to admit, like, I was the one that was like, okay, I have to do everything by myself. And I mean, that came from my upbringing. I'm thinking at 7 years old doing all this. So I'm thinking like, well, my mom did it. Okay, I can do it. But you just said, I like how you said it. It's just that negative in the moment. And it's just the people that you allow to take that joy away from you.
Yeah. And the thing is, and you forgot that you had the power.
I did. Say it again.
You forget that you got the power.
Thank you.
You got the power.
You do. Yeah,
and I remember when I was in that moment, for me personally, it was nobody but God. Yeah. And what, because I felt myself drifting in this really dark, dark. I've never,
I know.
Especially for like happy-go-lucky people.
That's exactly.
You drift into a dark place.
Yeah.
And I just felt everything in me was just drifting away. And what kept me on was Jesus love.
Amen. Amen.
Oh, yeah. I just kept singing, and it brought me back to the light.
Yeah.
It brought me back to the light.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I can tell that story from me.
Yes.
It was. I mean, I never took anything. I never actually got in the car. I was like, I'm gonna drive.
Yeah.
But I just know it was just like, I'm ready to leave this world.
There you go. And the thought is just as worse as you get ready to attempt when you think about it. Because you remember, you gotta marinate those thoughts in your head. Like you said,
absolutely.
There was a lot of stuff that led up to, you thinking of the suicide. So you just don't wake up one day and say, oh, I want to take my life. No, I'm sorry, it's not how it works. You go through a lot of things. It's a building up. Thank you. Until you hit that breaking point where you're like, I can't take anymore. That's what it is. You can't just say it's a couple little negative things that you go through. It's like, I want to take my life. No, it doesn't work like that. It's a lot. Like you said, it's a lot.
Yeah, you lose your job. You get a betrayal.
That betrayal was the worst one. Jesus Christ, I'm thinking like, dang, like I trusted y'all. Like, what you mean? And that's me. And me as a person, like, that is something I would never do. Not even to my enemies. I still want, like, I just can't, because I'm always like, what goes around comes around.
Absolutely.
And karma, she's a tough cookie, because she will make sure that you get your karma. So I try to live my life every day and treat people with the utmost respect. Now, does that mean that I have faults too? Yes. Does it mean that I made some mistakes? Yes, I have. Does it mean that I hurt some people? Yes, I have. But it wasn't hurting them intentionally. It could have been hurting because we was in a relationship and I'm like, you know what? I don't really see us going anywhere. So I think it's time that we depart. Like, I'd rather me be honest and tell her, like, hey, I don't want to be in this relationship, versus me leading her on, thinking that it's going to be a marriage and kids later on, and then she's going to be heartbroken, then I'm miserable. Like, no, it's stuff like that. Yeah, like, but like I said, we all do a lot of things. We all have done a lot of things that we may not be proud of, but it's okay. Nobody's perfect. You can't name me one person walking on the face of this earth that ain't done no sinning, because we all do. We sin every day. Even when you think of negative things that you want to say about people or anything, like, you're still sinning. You can't say there is no sin that is greater than the next, and that's how it is. And I won't get too far right now, because I know, like, my Bible study teacher back in and I was in at the church, she said it best way. She was like, there is two things. Well, she said it was one thing, but I said two. But there is one thing that she doesn't argue with about people, and that's the Bible, because she's like, everybody can read it and everybody's going to interpret it the way that they want to interpret it. So she was like, I know my God, and I'm not about to sit up here and try to literally have a debate. Yeah. Not that she didn't want to debate for her explaining about the works of God and the power that he can do, but basically when you're talking to some people that they're just like, well, how can you believe in somebody that doesn't exist? Like, how do you, he's not real. You know, she's just like, well, I know what he has done. And that's me, because I'm thinking, well, how did you think you woke up this morning? You can't say that your alarm clock woke up. No, do you know how many times that I forgot to set my alarm clock, and right on that minute I woke up? Then ain't nobody but God that said it's time to get up. Like, so you can't, but I look, that's their own opinions. I respect it, because we all are individual and we all have our own mindsets. But I always say another thing is, it's politics. I don't get into it with politics, because we all from different upbringings, and we believe differently. Yeah. So I may like a certain candidate that you don't like, but I don't care. It doesn't mean that I'm less of a person because I don't like that you like. No, that's what we need to realize. Like, we have to stop trying to compare ourselves to other people in this world. I stop trying to look at other people's situations and the things that they have, and you look at your situation and realize that you don't have it. Stop comparing, because like I said, we all going through stuff. Those people that you see on TV that got all this money, guess what? They miserable just like the rest of us. And it's sad to say, and it really is sad to say, and my heart goes out to those ones that actually has taken their life. So I want people to understand, like, you can have all the money in the world. You just said it. Robin Williams had all that money. Eventually, Kate Spade had all that money, and they still took their lives because they were dealing with some stuff that was deep internally within them that they didn't know how to talk about it. And if they did talk about it, maybe they didn't receive the help that they wanted to receive. You know, you have to look at it that way too. And it's sad. So I always tell people, like, we all gonna go through stuff. And we really are. And it's really how you approach it and how it's gonna make you stronger. Like, I'll be the first one, like, and you can relate too. When you had those suicidal thoughts, I'm thinking like, man, I ain't gonna make it through this. Like, I might as well just go. But they always say, God will never put more on you than you can bear. And even in that moment, I'm thinking like, all right, God, now you didn't. This is a lot now. This is a lot. This is a lot. Thank you. And then you can hear that voice talk. You got this. Cut it back. Thank you. He does.
Cut it. You get cutty, okay? Yeah, this is so good. Yeah. Thinking back what you said, you definitely hit some moments. Like, your comeback was your mom saying she want her son back.
Powerful.
Powerful. Ooh, that was like your heart.
That was my heart. It clicked. And you like, it did.
Okay. It did. Even after a year and a half.
Yeah, after a year and a half, because I still wasn't
yourself. Yeah.
No, everybody was like, "Why? You okay? You were even." No, she would still check on me and stuff like that, but I still wasn't myself. Yeah, I was still smiling and grinning because that's just what I've always done. But I was still hurting the inside because I'm still like, why am I? I was still like, why am I still here? Yeah, I'm still. Why am I here? Like, I was supposed to have been gone. Like, why am I here? You know.
Yeah. And then you had. I want to rewind it a little bit, even back to Nora.
Yes.
My guardian. Whatever Nora is, Nora, thank you.
That is my guardian angel. I love her to pieces. Yeah.
We wouldn't have him today if without Nora.
Yeah.
Without God touching Nora's heart.
There you go. No, because she won't take the credit. I give her the credit.
Yeah.
She won't. But she says what you just said. She says, "No, God put that on my heart to reach out. So God was the one that saved you."
That's powerful.
But then she tells me, she was like, "No, why? You're the reason why you're still here." And for a minute, I would be like, "No, Nora, you." But I realized what she meant by that, because I could have still went on with my suicide. You know, even to this day, I could still do it. Yeah, after. And so you do. It's like, I do have to pat myself on the back and be proud, because I did survive it, and I'm the one that got through those steps that I had to take to get to where I am today. I did. Like, it wasn't nobody. Yeah, I had my little support system, but ultimately it still was me that had to have that fire inside of me. Like, why, you gotta live. There's something worth living for. You gotta live. Because I could care less what anybody else says. Like, if I wanted to go through with it, Latar, like, I would have went through with it. So it is. You just have to, but you said it. My mom was at wake-up point when she looked at me, and then, like you said, Nora was definitely the reason why I'm still here. I will always give her that credit, even though I know she won't take it.
Yeah.
She won't. She tells me all the time.
And then you did the work. You had to heal. You had to forgive.
My! You just said it right.
Forgive. They don't like that word.
They don't. Now,
they don't like that word.
Because you just
gotta forgive.
So you remember I told you my biological father was, parts of the reason why. So last year, 2018 for Thanksgiving, I finally forgave my father after 24 years. And it was just like a weight that was lifted. It was kind of like I was able, and I orchestrated. I reached out to him and said, "Hey, Dad, let's meet up for lunch." And I really just had a conversation, and I explained to him how I really felt when he was missing in action. And then I got his story too, and I get it. Like, his story is deep, and I'll let him tell his story, but it is deep, and it did make me realize, okay, I get it. At that point in time, Mom was the best fit for us, but at the end of the day, you was a father, and you still should have been there to help out. Whether you was living with my mother and living with us, you still should have been there. So I did. I forgave you, but you just said it. I even forgave all the bullies that bullied me. Whether I receive an apology or not, I had to forgive them so I can move on. It's like I had to forgive those people that hurt me so I can move on. That, like
forgiveness
said,
is more so for us.
It is. It is.
Because we're releasing them. Because unforgiveness is you holding on to them because you won't pay back.
Thank you.
And you want revenge. And my good book says revenge is the Lord.
It is.
And the reason it's his because it eats us up alive.
Thank you. Yes, it does. Oh, we
can't move on to purpose. We can't move to destiny. We can't move to freedom.
You can't. You see, like I said, I didn't forgave my dad after 24 years, and then look, this is the year that the foundation is started. Like, I'm just you really have. And I'm telling you, forgiveness is everything.
And if you would have took your life, you wouldn't have had these conversations. No. You would have missed the understanding.
I would have. Yes, I would have.
My God. Do you know, this is one book. I ain't going to get into the book, but it's a book by Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Effective Leadership. This book has changed my life.
I'm about to get that.
I recommend all entrepreneurs, leaders to get anybody. Just every person needs these 7 habits of or to effective leadership.
Okay. Who's it by again?
Stephen Covey.
Stephen Covey. Okay.
Stephen.
Okay.
And I'm just still in the beginning of the book. Still in the beginning. However, one of the 7 habits is to understand others first instead of being understood.
That's the key. And
these are principles. These are principles. So the principles is principles last forever. And so as you were talking, and as you're talking about courage to live and overcoming suicide, you're now at this point where you can have compassion for your father, compassion for your mother, because at the end of the day, they didn't know better.
No,
they only knew what was taught to them.
There you go.
And so it's like a perpetual cycle. And I do believe our generation, because we're in this knowledge phase, in this knowledge era.
Yeah, which I love.
That
so
that we're becoming more educated. Yes. And we like, oh, mama and dad didn't have it for me.
Yeah.
Those friends, they didn't have it for me.
Thank you. Thank you.
I chose them out of maybe my insecurities, or I chose them out of my naiveness.
LaTara, you better come on now. Don't make me start shouting over here in the seat. You just said it. Because when you're a broken person, and when you are hurt, and when you're negative, you only attract those things. Come on.
You got broken people because you broken.
Yeah, thank you. But when you whole, it's just like, okay, you surround yourself.
You can see it. You can spot it. You be like, ooh. Yeah, and and I can still love you. I still love you.
But from afar. I love you from afar. Thank you. I'll be miles away.
Because you've been through it. And so honestly, God do take us through seasons, and of course the enemy always come to tempt us, but God comes to test us. Yes, so, it's to see what we made of.
Yeah.
I don't believe God would, want us to go through suicide. I don't believe that. But we do go through trials and tribulations,
We do.
And those trials and tribulations make us or break us.
It does.
And if it breaks us, the point of it is to get the lesson out of it.
Yes. Yeah. And that's and you just said it. And that's what I want people to know.
That's when it makes you. You're like, okay, I thought about committing suicide, but I didn't.
Thank you.
So while you was broken,
yes,
it eventually made you.
It did. Yes, it did. Because see, now it's just like, okay, I go through stuff. I'm like, okay, I ain't about to take my life now. Like,
it's not worth it.
It's not worth it. Because I look at it as like you just said, it's not worth it to allow those people to have that effect on you. I'm thinking like, y'all not even blood to me. Like, there's only one person on this earth that I would ever allow to say anything disrespectful to me, and that's my mom. And she doesn't even disrespect me, and she has every reason to, but she doesn't. So I'm like, why do I give that much? Like you said, give that much power to these other people? Like, who are you? Like, okay, hello, Stan, Steve. Like, hello, how do you do? Keep it moving. Like, who are you? You have to really be like that.
And that's why it's so important to build our children up at a very young age, to build their esteem up at a very young age.
Yes.
So because they don't experience it.
Oh, they are.
They're going to experience shady friends, shady people.
Yes.
Loss of job, loss of income. It comes with the life. It's just life.
Thank you.
And so, but if you teach them how to handle it, how to be like, listen, it's going to come.
Yes. Yeah.
Our Heavenly Father tells us in the good book.
Yes,
trials are gonna come.
They are. You can't get around them if you wanted to.
if you wanted to.
Thank you.
But in those times, here what I want you to do: think of these things which are of noble, which is our pure, which is it's in the good book, y'all. It's in the good book.
It is. And like you said, and then to piggyback off of that, just remain positive through it all. Like, that's one thing I say about myself. Like, I remain positive, even though it was some times where I just was like, man, forget y'all. Like, there was times where I probably had a thought that came in my mind, like, well, why am I allowing these bullies to bully me? Well, why don't we just take up and bully them back? But I was like, I can't, because I was like, the way I was raised, my mom was always like, don't do to others as they do to you. Like, because you got to understand, like, what they're doing, yes, is wrong. And it's sad that they're being bullies, but they're hurting themselves. And so they got to get help. So if I'm feeding back to that.
But you don't have to accept it. Now, I will say that. You ain't got to accept it.
You did. Yeah. You do take up. I will say that. You do take up. Yes, you do take up yourself. You got somebody that's coming over you and they're hitting on you and stuff like that.
You got to
sit there and take. No. I would definitely tell somebody. Because I had to do that in school. One of my bullies had to after my biological dad went into school and told him, they was like, look, y'all, if y'all don't fix something, I told him that he could defend himself. And I'm sure enough, the next day he bullied me and we got into it, but he never messed with me again. And so it's sad that I had to get to that point. But it's true. You have to show them that you're not weak and that you are strong, but you don't have to go around living this life being violent 24/7 or being negative. Like, you just don't. So you always need to look at the positive out of everything, like even the negative situations.
Man, this has been amazing. And by the way, guys, I want to share when Juan shared this testimony actually on Facebook. God, we're already an hour and 18 minutes into this.
Hey, it's been a good convo. I told you I like.
Maybe that'd be a part 2. Maybe we might have to do a part 2
because some other stuff we got to touch bases on.
I know, because guys, he shared with me when he actually wrote the story and was getting ready to put it on Facebook, and it took him courage to even do that.
Yeah, so that has to be part 2.
Yeah, they gotta be part 2.
That gotta be part 2. Yeah,
I can't have people. Get the people coming back for more. Come back.
Yeah, you gotta give them a comeback. Yeah, because that you right about that. Because that was powerful right there.
Yeah,
so
it was.
Wait for part 2 to go into
detail. But your testimony is amazing. You are amazing.
Thank you.
We're gonna talk more about this foundation because
yes.
Me being in the schools and me,
yes.
I am going to eventually go into psychology for my doctorate.
Yes.
Well, you see how the Lord.
Hey, you see how it works? So you get that degree, you got a job at the YM. Look, and this is on record, so people heard me say it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, if he don't hire me, y'all, if he don't, I'm just saying. But
I retract. Nah, just
no. Man of God, no.
So I wouldn't do that to you. No,
you're good.
Like, no, if you ever need that, I got you.
Thank you. You're so sweet. But yeah, it's our emotional, and actually a lot of the conversations, even within my organizational leadership field, a lot of even the leaders are dealing with emotional intelligence, our EI, because a lot of us, we haven't been developed in our emotions. We grow up physically. Yeah, we grown physically. Emotionally, a lot of us are suffering with arrested development.
Yes. I agree.
Arrested development, meaning you are a 30-year-old physically, but you have the emotions and the communication and the expression of a 13-year-old.
There you go. You just said it right there.
Yeah. So I would definitely implore psychiatrists and therapists to be a part of your foundation because it's needed. Like you need that. And for me, and I know you too, it's a spiritual and natural side to it.
It is. There you go.
You need both. You need that because somebody told me this recently. You can't cast out dysfunction.
No.
And you can't counsel a demon.
You can't. I like that.
You can't counsel a demon. That needs to be cast out.
There you go.
And you can't cast out dysfunction. That needs to be counseled. You need to know your habits. You need to get to the root of the thing. You need to know why that happened. You need to have a conversation with your parents. Why you allowed this happen. And when you don't get the answer, still be okay. Be resolved. Oh, yeah.
You just hit that. We definitely gonna have a part 2 and a part 3 because you just hit something where you said where you talked to your parents about certain things that was done, and at that time when you were younger, you didn't get it, but then when you grow up, it's just like you have to understand. Like that's kind of like me in my dad's situation. After he told me his story, I'm thinking like, okay, I have to sympathize and understand, and not for the simple fact that he's my father, but for the simple fact that I'm thinking like, that's how you knew how to deal with it at what you was going through at that particular time of your life. You didn't know anything else. So I can't take that out.
And everybody didn't have mentors.
They didn't.
And that, people should be like, no, you need to handle it this way. Or you need to handle, again, there wasn't, it's so many mentors these days.
Yeah.
Than it was for them.
It is. Thank you. And you gotta say, because they was in the 50s era. Yeah.
That's life.
Yeah.
They think this generation is selfish, or the generation before they're selfish because they wasn't all about mentors and you need help and talk to this person. That ain't everybody's story.
No, remember, because you gotta understand, in most family households, when you talk about stuff that's real serious, they like to throw that stuff under the rug. Like seriously,
when they say what happened in this house stays in this house.
Thank you. So you can't really talk. So you're raised with this thing like, I can't express how I'm feeling or what I'm going through in my household because I'll get in trouble when I come home. Like, and it shouldn't be that way. Now I'm not saying that the kids need to go out there and tell all the parents' business, but I think the parents should open up that communication line to be able to talk about these certain things and not tell their kids all the time, you gotta hold this in and keep it in the household. I get it, but personal stuff, but certain stuff like
or it's none of your business.
It's none of your business. Like, no, like don't do that to your kids. Because trust me, your kids probably know. Actually, not so probably they know more than you when you think about it. Because this day and age, and these kids, we didn't have all this stuff when we was growing up in school. These kids would never know what it meant to have a Macintosh computer. These kids
listen.
would never know what it means to when you got your first job at 14, then you bought your cell phone. I got 6-year-olds and 7-year-olds walking around with a better phone than me. I'm thinking, like, who does that?
Would you tell them? I had to buy my own cell phone, and it wasn't no iPhone.
I'm about to be
it
like, tell your
no
parents to hook me
screen.
up. What? No, it wasn't. It was a flip. It wasn't even a flip boy.
It was a little Nokia with little hands on it.
But you had the little. You mean you could download the ringtone?
Yes. And that's one of the things when I go into the school and substitute teach, I love to share my story because I feel like these students don't know. I said within 10 years, I graduated high school in 2005.
Yes.
I graduated college in 2010.
Yes.
I started teaching in schools probably in 2012. I was like, yeah, I'm about to be 10 years out of school.
Thank you.
Let me tell you how technology has evolutionized this world.
Thank you.
Where you come out the womb on this phone.
Thank you. That's what it is now. But in social media and technology has taken over everything.
Which has made them grow up at a fast rate. I was like, guys, we actually had to use our mind. We had to be creative. We had to go play outside still. I'm not 80s.
Thank you.
So we still had to go play outside.
Oh, I'm 80s baby too. Thank you.
Mother may I? Red light, green light.
Like, thank you. You playing sticks and you making your own hockey sticks. Thank you. Now you know how
they missing it because they instead of being creative and creating your happiness, they're depending their happiness on social media and what she got and what he got.
Thank you.
So I feel like a lot of people are missing. I told this to somebody else recently too. They're missing how to cope.
Yes.
They don't know how to cope because every day they wake up and get on Facebook and Facebook is their vision for the day.
Yes.
And let's see and now you're looking at somebody else's projections.
Thank you.
Who says their real life?
Thank you.
What they're deciding to project, and now you got their life for your vision, and you never saw God. You never looked inside yourself to like, what do Latara want?
Thank you. You just said
what Latara got planned on today? What's Latara's purpose to fulfill today?
Thank you. You have to do what's best for you. It doesn't matter what your parents, what your siblings, what your significant others think. You have to do what's best for you and what makes you happy. Because I look at it like this. My parents, my brother, my friends, they all have their lives and they're living their lives. Like, so at the end of the day, it's like, I'm going to live my life. Like you have to. You can't compare yourself to anybody. You have to live your life the way you live it. Like, it's okay. We're going to make mistakes. Parents, it's okay. You couldn't save your kids. For me, I tell my mom all the time, Mom, you couldn't save me from that homelessness if you wanted to. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. If it's meant for you to go through and happen, like, it's going to happen. The thing is, it's like you said, stay positive and just know that when you come out of it, it's always it's going to be it's a positive message that you'll be able to have when you come out of it. And you can look back and be like, man, I was that strong. Like, I did that. You think about that because I'm like, wait a minute, homeless? Man, I ain't never in a million years thought I would ever be homeless. I'm like, wait a minute. And then it happened. And then I'm like, oh, wait, this is what it feels like. I'm like, oh, Jesus, wait a minute now. Come on.
Wait a minute. Flag on the play. I love it. Yeah, we definitely have to do a part 2, part 3.
We are.
Maybe
so we can just do a series.
Yeah, pretty much. It may just be a whole series of Courage to Live, and and other people have the courage to share their story. And
exactly.
That's why I believe this is why God made me come up with this whole idea or gave me this idea. And he's giving me like the next topic.
Yeah. You're the best one for it though, Latara. You are. I have to say that. I'm not just saying it because I know you, but just knowing you when we went to school and just seeing, like you said, when we reconnected, when you reached out to me, and just like you are, like, for you to do this, it takes a special person to do. It takes special people to do anything in this world when you're trying to make a difference for the better. But it really takes special purpose when you putting together a podcast and you labeled it Courage of the Impossible, right?
Courage to Face Impossible.
Courage to Face Impossible. Because what you're doing is you're trying to get stories from other people to try to help them be able to cope with their stories, but also to help other people, because you realize it. Me talking about my story, like, people think that, oh, why it's been 9 years? You just see me tear up earlier because it's still as if it was yesterday. It's still going to be a memory. I can't erase it if I wanted to. But the courage of me being able to speak about it and me being able to touch somebody else's life, but then to be like, oh, he went through it, but he's still here. I can have that same thing. That's what you're doing. And so, like you said, and a lot of people in this day and age, sorry to say, they're selfish. They don't care about nobody but themselves. So for you to put this together to help other people, that's why I say it takes a special person to do this. So you're the right one for it. You're the right one for it.
I'm honored. Wow.
Now don't get all emo on me now. Don't get all emo.
I'm a thug. I didn't cry at
there
all.
You go. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Keep it together now. Keep it. I said enough tears for the both of us.
This is amazing. Like the different ideas that God keep giving me, you know, for this podcast. Like, I think eventually gonna have to be a nice little conference. Like, come on, y'all, let's come together.
Do it, but do it. Like, LaTara, do it. Whatever He is giving you, do it. Do not. No, just trust me. I'm a living testimony, living witness. You better do what He is telling you to do. Because if you don't, you're gonna look back and be like, why did I just listen? You know, we make a lot of stuff hard on ourselves if we just sit back and just be in peace with ourselves for a minute and listen. Everything would be mapped out for you. Like it is. We already have the answers. We just get too big in egos and feel like we can do it all by ourselves. Like, oh, we don't need. No, you can't. Sorry, you can't. You're gonna need the help.
Just follow the path before you. One of my favorite quotes is a journey to 1,000. No, a journey to. Oh, a journey of 1,000 steps. Start by one step. I think it's.
I like that. I like that.
And
I never heard that, but I like that.
Yeah, I hope I said it right. If I'm not, I have to cut this out. But
okay. Well, then I won't quote it then until we find it.
Yeah, journey of 1,000 steps starts by one step, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. And that's it. Just like how when we put our GPS in, you gotta follow it. And then once you get to the point, it's tell you go right. Exactly. You keep on that path until it's you go left. Then go left. You know, like just follow directions. And I think just follow our hearts, God's mind, His plans.
Yes.
We're going to get there.
We will. We definitely will. Get there.
Well, this has been phenomenal.
Yes, it has. And once again, LaTara, I want to say thank you for allowing me to actually, share my story and be a guest on your podcast show. It really does mean a lot. And like I said, I hope this message does reach out to those individuals who are going through what I went through 9 years ago. And I'm hoping that they can hear this message and want to continue to fight and want to live. And like I always would say, this is my slogan for the foundation is keep hope alive, your later is greater. Because it really is. Like I can tell you that. I would have never experienced what I've experienced 9 years later if I had went through with my suicide attempt 9 years ago. So once again, thank you, LaTara. I appreciate it.
Say your slogan one more time.
It's keep hope alive, your later is greater.
That's amazing. Your later is greater.
It is. And you gotta allow that.
It
ain't gonna be now, but your later, if you hold on.
Hold
on. I'm telling you, hold on.
Don't give up.
Don't give up because your later will always be better. Trust me. It's a lot of great things coming in everybody's lives. And if you just, like you said, just keep hope alive and keep fighting, you're gonna find out what that is.
Yeah, you gonna get that understanding.
Yes, you will.
Get that closure.
And you get that and you'll feel so much better, y'all. You really will. I'm telling y'all from experience because I went through it and I've lived it. Once you get that closure and get the understanding of what the message was you're supposed to get, all the stuff that you was going through, it won't even matter because you're like, oh, I know why I went through it. It was amazing. So
yeah, you get that clarity, that light bulb.
You do. Yes, you do.
Wow. Well, all his information is going to be posted in my link. Yes. Your website. Say it for us. The one.
Oh wait. So I'm still in the process of getting the website because I'm getting some stuff done with it first. Okay. So it's not up yet. But if you go to the official pages on Facebook, it's the Juan Young Foundation. On Instagram, it's the Juan Young Foundation.
Okay.
If you follow, you guys will be getting all the updates of what's going on. Especially here coming up in the fall semester, I'll be going to schools and I'll be posting up the cities and states that I'll be going to where I will be speaking and sharing my story and promoting the foundation and stuff like that. So I would appreciate everybody's, if you can just go follow, share the stuff with everybody because you never know, even if it doesn't pertain to you at that point in time, somebody that's following you could see it and it could help them out. So absolutely. So please make sure you go through and do that.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
You're welcome, LaTara.
This has been amazing. We both talked this, so this is probably not going to be this is probably the first of many. Because conversations like this, you just can't expect it to be done in 30 minutes or 45.
Because we coming back. Now I got a great show presence again.
You have to. And look, and I'm just going to speak it into existence. This may turn into an actual talk show. So,
yes. Oh, it will. Then you make sure when it does, you just have me on the show, and I can be like, I remember. Man, I did every single podcast.
It grown, child.
Oh,
When you said my later will be greater.
Yes, and what happened? It's greater.
There it is.
Go ahead, Latara.
I always been a big thinker. So
yes.
yeah, that's how God created me.
Yes, don't change that. Don't change it.
Yeah. I love you to life.
I love you to life too, Latara, and thank you so much. You understand, you brought me so much joy. Like I said, I needed this conversation just to talk to people and share this story, but just to, like I said, talk to you because I knew you in college. So it's just funny to see. It's interesting and nice to see how our lives have been in the last decade almost since we've been out of school, and how much we have went through, and how it's like we just picked up where we left off. It's almost like we've been still talking to each other all these years.
Right.
So, I do.
I met him at Don Pablo, y'all.
Hey. Who would have ever known at Don Pablo's years later?
Wow.
I love it.
God is amazing.
Yes, He is.
It's purpose.
But keep doing this. Yes, it is. It's purpose, but keep doing this, Latara. Like I said, you got a good calling. You got a beautiful calling over your life. Don't give up. Trust me, don't give up. I can tell you that. Like, don't give up. Okay. Don't. It's not worth it. Keep going. Even if you know it's going to get hard, fight through it. Trust me, because I'm telling you, it's going to be greater. What I say, keep hope alive. Your later is greater.
Will be greater.
Trust me, it will. You got this.
Awesome. Well, I ain't going to keep you. Thank you so much for being on the show.
You welcome, Latara.
And I just look forward to seeing your foundation grow. You doing speaking engagements.
Yes.
You saving lives. That's the purpose.
Yes.
That's the real purpose. Saving.
And when I'm up there in Indiana, I'll definitely let you know where I'm at so you can come up and support. Yeah, I will.
And I'm going to come visit you in LA.
Yeah, please do. Come on now so we can go party.
Yes.
Well, we didn't say that on the record,
Yeah, right.
I just want to show you, around LA, it's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
Look, I cannot with you.
Well, love you. Have a blessed one.
You too. Already to the top. Love you.
Love you too.
You guys take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.